Besides Thanksgiving, the Super Bowl it's not really a holiday, it's just an event. But then next comes up Valentine's Day. I was reading something on one of the social media sites that says cannot wait till February the 15th or 16th because chocolate goes on sale. And I'm like, well, I guess that's one way to look at it, you know. Everybody goes for the for the Valentine. It seems the chocolates. That's always the good, that chocolates and flowers. You know, and I'm sitting there thinking I'm going to go with the chocolates if I had to choose one because the flowers are going to end up dying away anyways. So let's go for something that stays with us for a long time. Every box that we look at and say, yeah, happy Valentine's to me, you know. It's supposed to be full of love, a time of love and happiness and sharing. I got to reading through some things and I saw one that's talking about how Valentine's Day and love is kind of like a gamble. And the way it put it was, love is gambling, just not with money, but with your heart. But you can always get your money back, but sometimes your heart just never comes back to you. It gets broken. I thought, well, that's kind of the same way your money is. You know, if you invested in the stocks and all that, it gets broken, it's gone too. And then I read another one that I thought was very, very humorous. A lot of them I thought, well, that's pretty cute. But this one, it just struck me as funny. It says, you should never, ever marry a tennis player. And I was sitting there thinking, why should you never marry a tennis player? And I was thinking, okay, it goes back and forth. I was trying to figure it out, you know, until finally I read it says, because love means nothing to them. You know, I got to think, oh, the score, you know, 15 love. And I often wonder, where in the world did they come up with that? I guess the other person made it, oh, I love it, you know. There was a song that came out, I told you about this song, we mentioned this song before. In May of 1984, Tina Turner come out with this song, What's Love Got to Do? Come on, I heard you over there, you're going to sing it out. Karaoke, you're going to pass the mic. What's love got to do with it? She was 44 years old when she came out with this. She was the oldest female artist to have a #1 single. And that's what it was. What's love got to do with it? Well, folks, in the Christian world, love has everything to do with it, plain and simple. If there's no love involved, don't even put the title Christian on your name, because according to the Word of God, it says that God is love. Now, how can you claim to be a Christian if you don't have love in your life? If you don't have love acting and reacting in your life? I was watching, I know this sounds crazy. This morning I was getting ready. What was that? Bill Nye, the Science Guy, I think it is. You know, it's on the TV and I was sitting there watching it. And he was talking about how an action causes a reaction and goes on. You know, well, love is a verb that's put into action. And when love is given properly, then you will, chances are, get a good reaction from the other side of it, especially when God is involved. When you've got God in your life and you've got love going so strong, folks, you're going to make a difference. You're going to be one that can change. And if not, then you need to let God's love touch you so that you can be the one that gets the change in your life. Now, Paul, we all know Paul. Paul was one of the great apostles, taught so much, did so many revivals, so up and down all through Asia and through Europe. Paul on many missionary trips. He was one that everyone looked up to. One of the great apostles, like I say, that was in the Bible. People loved his writings. Well, Paul understood what love was and what love meant. We're going to go to 1 Corinthians 13, which is pretty much the chapter on love. And Paul says, though I speak with the tongues of men and of angels, and have not charity, charity is another word for love, I become a sounding brass or a tinkling cymbal. And though I have the gift of prophecy and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and though I have all faith so that I could remove mountains and have not charity, I am nothing. I like that verse. And though I speak with the tongues of men and angels and have not charity, I become a tinkling brass, I'll get that right in a minute, sounding brass, and a tinkling cymbal. Drums are cool. We got a set up here that ain't been played in a long time, but we got a set of drums up here. And when you get those cymbals and those hi-hats, and we got the chimes down the side of it, they sound so pretty once you get them in there right where the music is supposed to go. But if you just sit there and just hit on just those, what eventually happens? It gets on your nerves, plain and simple. Okay, that's enough, you know. I remember when Colton used to take the drum lessons, you know, he'd go through, he used to love to pop those things, and you know, it's like, okay, that high shrill noise, it's, you know, it can eventually just grind you to a halt, period. That's what he said. You can talk all you want, Paul says. He says, no, I can speak with the tongues of men. He might say, I might know all the languages. I might can talk to all the folks around me. I might can witness to them. I might can share with them. I might can have the tongues of angels. I might be baptized with the Holy Ghost. I might be able to speak in tongues. He said, but I can have all of this working in my life, but if I don't have love, I have nothing. I never understood the crimes, or you know, we was talking about how this morning how Virginia has gone off the cuckoo's nest. Never understood the crimes that Christians would do in the name of Christianity, and they would sit there and bomb abortion clinics. Y'all remember that back off in the 80s or whatever? You know, how in the world can you sit there with love and say, I'm just going to kill all of these folks, you know? Your actions, the way you act, the way you talk, what you do, you are representing love. You are representing God. You are representing, like I said, the pure definition of what love is. So therefore, if you are not showing and sharing that love, it doesn't matter what languages you know, who you can talk to that somebody else cannot. It doesn't matter that you are so in touch and in tune in man's eyes. If you're not showing the love that God has placed in your heart, or supposedly placed in your heart, and you've taken it, if you're not showing that love and allowing that love to come out and to rise to the top, don't go around waving these big banners talking about just how good and godly you are, because you're not living as God would have you. That's what Paul's saying. Don't act like you're all this and then some if you can't even show love. If you can't even share. Go back and look. Did Jesus ever, we see, you know, once or twice there, some people debate on if it was two different things or if it was the same time, once or twice where he run people out of the temple. We see this situation where people want to say he got a little upset and he ran them out, you know, the Bible says. But when Jesus was talking with the crowd, when Jesus was ministering, even when the Pharisees and the Sadducees was pestering and poking and trying to trick, did you ever see Jesus lose his cool? No. Did you ever see Jesus go up and shout and holler and jump and stomp and pitch big fits to try to win souls over to the kingdom? No. How did he do it? Everything was with love. Everything, to the sick, to the rich, to the poor. It didn't matter who. He showed them the same amount of love. It was all a loving hand, a loving grip, a loving prayer. Everything was done with love and kindness. What's that old saying? You can attract more flies with what? With honey? Yeah. Than you can with something. Vinegar. There you go. Don't blame them. You know? Love. You've got to have love. We're supposed to follow what Jesus. We're supposed to act the way he acts. We're supposed to minister the way he ministered. I remember one time, you know, we had a new preacher come to the church, and I was a little kid, we was on our Sunday schools, he'd go around asking everybody, who's your favorite, what's your favorite verse, and all this that in the Bible, you know, and of course he was setting everybody up in one way. Later on he'd come back and he said, you know what? He said, I've been asked everybody all these favorites, who's your favorite, who you like to be like? He said, but folks, don't worry about being like somebody in the Bible except Jesus. Each one of us are different. Each one of us have different things. Just follow after Jesus and let that guide you. Let that be the love. We can say, oh, we'd like to follow after Peter. Let's follow after Peter. Let's draw the sword and let's go attack somebody, you know. Let's deny Christ 3 times. You know, that's what happens if we follow man. Man, let's emotions get in the way. Man, let's sometimes Satan fool us and bring us down. But if we will follow God's love. That's what Paul was saying. Hey, look, it doesn't matter how long you've been in church, more or less. It doesn't matter how you was raised. It doesn't matter what your thoughts, your philosophy is. It doesn't matter what your denomination, your beliefs. If you ain't got God and you ain't got love, you ain't got it.
Right.
You just, pardon that grammar, but you ain't got it, all right? It says, so that I can remove mountains and have not charity, I am nothing. You know, when Jesus said, hey, all you got to do is have a little bit of faith, you can move that and say that mountain, be gone to the sea and be gone. But Paul says, you know, and what Jesus later on said, what difference does it make? What good would that do? Use your faith for the love of the kingdom. Amen. Use your faith for the love and to win souls. And though I bestow all my goods to feed the poor, and though I give my body to be burned and have not charity, it profiteth me to do nothing. Let's go back to the faith versus works versus what's dead, what's not. You know, he says, oh, you can give away everything that you want to give away. The coat off your back, give all your food. If you're doing it not out of love, doing it for the wrong answer. Remember when they was taking up the offering and they would ring the bell? Oh, look here, you know, so-and-so gave so much. And the little woman gave her 2 mites. And Jesus said she's given so much more because she gave of everything that she had. She gave from her heart. She gave from love. Not to be seen of man. Not Jesus say, you've been seen. You want to be seen of man? There is your reward. That's not love. That's doing it for the wrong reasons. You can come into a church. You can get born into God's kingdom and still not do things the right way and do it under the title of Christianity and think, oh yeah, look at the treasures I'm putting up. But no, you're not putting up any because you're not doing it through love. Plain and simple. And through that love is through Christ, the way that He would do it. And though charity suffereth long, it's kind. Charity envieth not, charity vaunteth not itself, it's not puffed up. Does not behave itself unseemingly, seeketh not for her own, is not easily provoked, it thinketh no evil, rejoiceth not in iniquity, but rejoiceth in the truth. And I got to reading through and I got to thinking, and I'm sure I'm guilty. I'll raise my hand just like maybe some of you might be. Y'all ever seen somebody be going around doing something and somebody fall, get hurt, trip and stumble, and it's like they take forever and bam, they finally fall. And you're sitting there and it's like, oh, God bless them, but the whole time you're trying not to laugh. Or you're trying not to let them see you laughing. You're laughing anyways, but you're trying not to let them see you laugh. And it's like, oh, you know, and you're sitting there, well, this happened, and this one lady said, how in the world can y'all laugh at that? You know, where's your love? Where's your compassion? And well, oh, it's there, but that was just funny. You know, one time I was over at my grandmother, which was Tony's mom's house, and all of us was down, and all of us, the uncles, they'd always give all of us nephews a hard time, and nieces, and we was just going to there. Everybody was just poking. And my grandmother said, you know what, that's about enough of this. I thought I raised all y'all better. And we was all laughing. We said, we're just having fun. And one of my uncles, all of it was Tony or his brother. So yeah, we're just having fun with each other. And I said, it's just the way we show love. And she said, well, this is the way you show love. I don't like it. You know, this ain't right. You got to make sure you show love the way God intended for you to show love. You know? I just picture it and start laughing. Seeing the person stumble and fall. Y'all seen that picture on social media where the person's on ice trying to walk, you know, and they about fall and they finally make it. It's like, woo, you know. That was me. Somebody says that was me on Saturday night, right before I got to church on Sunday, you know. Knowing how we are supposed to do things and then doing them as we want to do is not the love that God wants us to show. We need to follow in His footsteps. The old saying, what would Jesus do? Remember those bracelets everybody used to wear? WWJD. What would He do? How would He act? How does He react to a situation? Through love. Everything He did was through love. You know, we've got to be able to show the right kind of love And that is the love of Christ. Paul says, when I was a child, I spake as a child. I understood as a child. I thought as a child. But when I become a man, I put away childish things. For now we see through a glass darkly. But then face to face, now I know in part, but I shall know even as I am on. And now abideth faith, hope, and charity. These three, but the greatest of these is charity, which is love. Paul said, hey, look, you know, I relate it this way. Well, when I was a kid, I thought I was a kid. You know? When you was a kid, I like you, do you like me, circle one, yes or no, that would work. That'd get you where, you know, that was it. You did things as a kid. You know, you might have hated, you might have been ugly, you might have been bad, you might have pitched tempers. You know, nobody had temper tantrums, I'm sure, but you might have did these kind of things, and then the next thing, boom, you was all good. Everything was good. It says, hey, put away the childish things. Love is supposed to conquer all of this. You grow up, you realize it ain't the childish ways and ways. It's what I need to do as God has told me, as His Word has instructed me to do. Paul says, now abideth faith, hope, and love. What's the greatest? Love. Yes. The greatest is love. Who is love? God is love. Without that love that God has for us, we can never make it anyways. And without Him giving us that love, how are we going to be able to show? Without that love, how is your faith? You're not going to have faith in something that you don't care for, that you can't be compassionate and passionate about. You're not going to have the faith in something like that. The greatest is love. There's been many scientific ways to pinpoint what love is. And I'm sure each one of you has probably tried these growing up. Did you ever get the little dandelion and blow it? And what was it, if you could blow them all off in one turn or whatever, you know, that's the way, that was it. Or the pick the flower, she loves me not. And you get down to where you see how it's going to end and you accidentally drop it. Oh, I got to pick up another one. Start another one. That way you know it's going to end up good, you know. Loves me not. Throw those flowers. I remember one as a kid. I saw a girl one time, boy, she was sitting there, she had an apple in her hand, and she had the little stem, boy, she just twisting it. 1, 2, 3. I'm like, what are you doing? She goes, when it gets to a certain spot, and then that letter, and that number, that becomes the person I'm going to fall in love with. And I was sitting there praying, please don't be a 10, please don't be a J, I don't want, you know, I didn't really care for that girl, but, you know, I think it would, you know, I think it come out on 8. But another scientific way that love can be showed. You know, then later on, of course, they come up with all this sorcery and the magic 8 ball. You know, you can shake that thing, you know, oh, it's going to tell you, does she love me? No, you know, try again later, you know. All these many ways. But the true way to find out about love is to just let go and let God show you and help you through it. Period. John defines love and its actions. 1 John 4:7. Beloved, let us love one another, for love is of God, and everyone that loveth is born of God and knoweth God. He that loveth not knoweth not God, for God is love. And this is manifested the love of God towards us, because that God sent His only begotten Son into the world, that we might live through Him. Herein is love, not that we loved God, but that He loved us and sent His Son to be the propitiation for our sins. Y'all remember that song? Because He first loved me. If God didn't love us, we'd never be able to love Him. We wouldn't know enough about Him. We wouldn't be able. But once we know that He loves us, once He started showing that love, man, that love goes back to look how He created Adam and Eve. Look how and then when they sinned and they did exactly what He told them not to do, what does He do? He comes up knowing that they had sinned. He covers them. He sacrifices. And He still watches out for them. He still watches out for us every time that we slip, every time that we fall. He's still loves us. Don't ever think, oh, I done fell out of God's grace and love. No. No, you might have failed, but God is there waiting. Remember the prodigal son's dad, man? He'd been gone for who knows how long. And I'm sure he would ask everybody that come by, have you heard word of my son? Have you heard about my son? Well, yeah, last time we saw him, he had all of his friends over at the tavern or whatever, and he was buying rounds, and then it kept going on, and finally it was, have you seen my son? Oh yeah, last time we saw him, he was down feeding the hogs. You know, when we get that low, God still loves us. And you know what God wants us to do? Come home. Yes. Come home is what He's wanting each one of us to do. He loves us so much. No man has seen God at any time. If we love one another, God dwelleth in us, for His love is perfected in us. Whosoever shall confess that Jesus is the Son of God dwelleth in Him, and He is in God. And we have known and believed the love that God hath to us, because God is love. And he that dwelleth in love dwelleth in God, and God is in him. If that don't take it from the front to the middle and the back, folks, you can't do it. And the Bible is saying, the writer's telling us that God is love. And if God loves us, we should love Him. And He loves us even when we don't love Him. And it goes, the circles complete the word. God gives us love. We should give love back to God. And if so, then we're going to give love to everybody else just like God gives love to everybody else. Now, thank goodness, He ain't saying go out and buy the chocolate heart for everybody. But what He is telling them is just like what Peter and John said. Hey, I might not have a box of chocolates for Valentine's Day, but I got God that I can tell you about. I might not have a bouquet of flowers, but let me tell you about the one who created those flowers and who was able to make them grow. Let me tell you about the one who loves you more than anybody else can ever love you. It is God, for God is love. We have got to understand, what is the world hungry for? What does love have to do with it? Love has everything to do with it, because the world needs love. If the world had love, there wouldn't be day before or night before abortions. If the world had love, there wouldn't be any of them. If the world had love, there wouldn't be all the crime that's going on. If the world had love in it, then it would be that place. That's why Paul said, right now, we look through everything that is darkened. But one day the light is going to be shed, and it's going to be opened up, and the love of God is going to overflow. And when it does, folks, you talking about that overwhelming. You know, when sometimes you get down and you get to praying, or you get to worshiping, you get to praising God, and the Spirit just starts bubbling up, and it's a feeling that you can't beat. It's a feeling that you just want so much, and it just feels like it just burst out. Well, just wait till we are in the goodness, in the very presence of the pure definition of love. Just wait and see how those feelings are. It ain't going to matter that the streets are gold. It's going to be you're bathing in the light of love. It ain't going to matter that, oh, look, we're going to be here forever. It wouldn't matter, because it's love. It's God's love that's over you. That's what's going to matter. Do you feel that love? Can you feel? Well, oh, there's another Disney song. Can you feel the love tonight? When we get to heaven and God, we're standing before that throne, or actually we're kneeling before that throne, when that love hits us, it's going to drive us to our knees. You know, what's that? Usually that's what happens, right? The husband or whatever, or the guy, the husband to be, gets on his knee and he gives that ring, and will you marry me? I believe when we're standing before the definition of love, we're going to hit our knees. And it's not going to be, will you marry me? But it's, will you please allow me in? Will you please? And His love is going to say, lift us up and say, come on in. My goodness, that's what love is going to be. Saving us from what the world has. That love is going to be there with us. The very definition of love. We love Him because He first loved us. And this commandment have we from Him, that he who loved God loved his brother also. You know, Jesus talks about, they asked Him, what's the greatest commandment? He said, to love the Lord your God with all heart, with all soul, all their mind, to love Him and trust Him. He said, but then the second one is to love your neighbor as yourself. On these two hinge the commandments. If you love God and you love your neighbor, the rest of them falls in place. Plain and simple. Finishing up here. Love comes from your heart, not your eyes. The old saying, never judge a book by the cover. But I always just say, yeah, but if the cover don't look good, I ain't never going to open it up and read the book. That's what I always love. It was just a red book, no picture on the front. I'm like, I got to have something that's going to entice me, you know. But then I got to hearing this thing, yeah, but a refrigerator is an exact example of why you should never let this be. You look at the front of a refrigerator, it's either that, y'all remember that the green old refrigerators, or the yellows, or the black ones, or the stainless ones? It's a door. Don't judge that refrigerator by the door, because when you open it, man, look what's on the inside. Everything that we need to sustain us. You know, of course, it's according to how you stock your refrigerator. You know, if it's going to sustain or if it's going to weight gain, one or the other. But what's in that refrigerator is what we're all amazed by. What's on the inside. Not just on the outside. And it's the inside that counts. Jesus said in Matthew, you have heard that it has been said, thou shalt love your neighbor and hate thy enemy, but I say unto you to love your enemies. Bless them that curse you, do good to them that hate you, pray for them which despitefully use you and persecute you, that you may be the children of your Father which is in heaven. Jesus said unto them, thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all the heart, with all thy soul, with all thy mind. And then it goes on to where Paul says in Romans, in Galatians, for the law is fulfilled in one word, even in this, that thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. If the world had love, there wouldn't be what we see going on in the world. There wouldn't be the bombings. There wouldn't be the wars. There wouldn't be the vicious, I guess another word to say, crime laws. You know, the laws that are set up by our own government. There wouldn't be a need for walls. There wouldn't be a need for this thing. Because if the world was set up as it's supposed to be, it would all be peace and love. That goes back to what Paul had said in the scriptures earlier. But when that which is perfect is come. Somebody said something one day was telling me, but yeah, wait a minute now. But when that which is perfect is come, wasn't that talking about Jesus? I said, no. Because about Jesus, it was said, then he which is perfect. I said, you also got to figure that was Paul speaking, which was after Jesus' time. But when that which is perfect, you know what that's going to be? That's going to be when God's kingdom is set up. When we are living in the holy city. When God's, everything now is under God's rule and everything else the way it's supposed to. When that, then all will be known and all will be love. The ultimate love. Jesus talks about the ultimate love. And as the thing says, love defined, he defined it with his final actions here on this earth as a human being. It says he went to a garden to pray. You know, we already know that Jesus already prayed one time. He prayed, Father, protect those that follow me. He said Satan's going to be after him. He's going to try to bind them. He's going to try to tear them down. He said, but protect them. Give them the strength. That's love. Jesus knowing what's fixing to happen to him. He's knowing he's fixing to go to that cross. And his thoughts was, Father, protect them. Father, protect those that have followed me. Protect those that I have been teaching. You know what the same prayer is? God, protect those Christians right now. Protect your children. They're going through rough times. Protect them. Be with them. Give them the strength. That's love, folks. When you put yourself on the back burner for the needs of others. It says, then he went a little further. And he fell on his face and he prayed, saying, oh, my Father, if it's possible, let this cup pass from me. Nevertheless, not as I will, but as thy will. when Jesus was going to that cross. You know what love is? Love is knowing, oh Lord, I'm fixing to be beaten, I'm fixing to be whooped, I'm fixing to be put on that cross. It's going to be painful, it's going to hurt. But I love them and I'm willing to do it. The ultimate love. Jesus talked about in the book of John. Greater love hath no man in this, that a man lay down his life for his friends. And I like this part. I put it in the newsletter. Ye are my friends if you do whatsoever I commanded you. You ever seen people that are supposed to be in love? You know. Yet you see what one does to the other one or don't do for, you know. It's just like, you mean you love them and you treat them this way? Well, yeah. And it makes you wonder, is that really love? How could someone that supposedly loves you do these things to you? That's not love. That's not a love that we would want. That's not a love that anybody would want. That's not a love that's going to make you want to love them back. Love. You are my friends if you do whatsoever I command you, Jesus said. Do we love Jesus back the way that he loves us? Boy, that's when the rubber hits the road right there, folks. If you are my friend. It says, greater love no man that giveth his life for his friends, and you're my friends. If you do what I command you, if you live like I want you to live, do we share the same love? And do we give the same love back for Jesus as he did for us? Go ahead and start playing something. This is what Jesus did for us. Jesus cried with a loud voice and said, Father, into thy hands I commend my spirit. Having said thus, he gave up the ghost. And when Jesus had received the vinegar, he said, it is finished. And he bowed his head and he gave up the ghost, was the way that John put it. While they were all around the bottom of that cross, gambling, throwing lots of straws, you know. I want his robe, I'll take his robe. Gambling for his earthly attire. And he's hanging on a cross and he's looking down saying, I love you anyways. He's looking at the crowd, the same crowd, folks, that just a week before as he come into Jerusalem, that was hollering hosannas to the king. Just a day before was hollering crucify him. The same crowd that was saying, let Barabbas go, let the rapist and the murderer go, but crucify Jesus. And he still looks at him and he says, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Forgive them, folks, that's love. Ever had anybody just want to know? We haven't. I don't think anybody here has had anybody treat them that bad, period. From before Jesus' time to Jesus' time. That could do that and turn their back when he's done so much for us. What's love got to do with it? Everything. Period. Everything as a Christian. There was another song I used to always echo through. It says, what is love? Baby, don't hurt me. I probably know, yeah, you know. I thought, don't hurt me. Well, what if Jesus was sitting there? What is love? People, don't hurt me. You know, he didn't worry about if he got hurt. He didn't worry because he knew the plan and he loved us anyways. He didn't worry, he knew he was going to get hurt. And the little opening thing I said is kind of like when you gamble with your money, you might lose it, but you get it back. But when you gamble with your heart, you might not. Jesus laid it out there for everybody. It's up to us. Are we going to pick up that heart and walk with it and give it back to him? Or are we going to be one of the ones that just step on it, go our way, and do what we want? Jesus, His life, His love defined. Father, Lord, we thank you for your grace, for your mercy. God, I thank you for that love. God, I thank you for your unconditional love. God, Lord, you loved us when we weren't worthy. Love you. God, you love us when we're not able, when we don't show ourselves to give love, Father. Lord, you love us anyways. Move and minister upon us, God, this morning. Lord, let your love start a new fire. Let your love just burn deep within. Father, give us a new outlook. Father, let us come back as that prodigal son to the love that we once knew. Father, strengthen our love, Father, so that we can take what this world has, so that we can, God, Lord, as it all comes upon us, God, Lord, that we can realize, Father, you've gone through it. When the world crashed down upon you, Jesus, you just looked up and said, Father, forgive them. Let us have that same love running through us. Let us have that love that's willing to die to this world and live for you. Father, during this Valentine's, this season of love, God, Lord, Lord, renew the love within us for our fellow man and for our relationship with you. Keep us, draw us, make us strong again. And we'll give you all the praise and glory. For it's in Jesus' name. Amen.